Now?
No, ma'am.
Still
Now
not
it is
visible.
visible, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. Right. Okay, so yesterday we had discussed about, we were learning discussing the learning concepts, and we discussed about linear regression, simple logistic regression, then artificial neural networks. I worked out an example and I asked you to work out the remaining. I gave you another problem which I posted in the GCR, but unfortunately nobody seemed to have replied or turned in the assignment. So maybe we'll work out one or two more problems and I take up an extra class somewhere next week. So next week I'll be taking extra classes. And your Malati ma'am will also be going on leave. So during that time, that classes will also be engaged. So we'll work out more problems then, because right now I need to rush up with the portions. Okay, so moving on to the next topic. Nothing but support vector machines. Support vector machines. Okay, so actually the support vector machines, they are highly preferred because they produce better accuracy with less computational power. Okay, and then this support vector machines or SVMs, they can be used for both regression as well as classification task. Okay, but then mostly it is being used for your classification. Okay, it is used for classification, though it can be used for classification and regression problem. Okay, so it's basically a simple tool for classification. Simple tool for classification. Okay, comes under the category of supervised learning algorithm. Okay, so when I browse the net, I just happened to see an analogy regarding this support vector machine. So how, the various, the regression and the support vector machine can be compared to. So I'll just mention about the same. Okay, so you can think of your machine learning algorithms as an armory packed with all your axes, sword, blade, bow, dagger, maybe a Swiss knife or whatever, the multi-purpose knife which you have come across. Okay, so you can think of your regression, what we have discussed, as a sword which is capable of slicing and dicing the data efficiently. But then it is not suitable for dealing with your complex data, highly complex data. But then on the other hand, your support vector machines, it's like it's being compared to a sharp knife. Okay, it's something which works on smaller data sets also, smaller as well as complex data sets. Okay, so it is a very strong and powerful when it comes to the case of building machine learning models. Okay, so now okay, so that was an analogy which I took it from the internet. Okay, so now here some difference is being given. SVM constructs a hyperplane in a multi-dimensional space and generates optimal hyperplane in an iterative manner, and all these things. So I'll just show you what this hyperplane is all about. Okay, so when you had this, assume these are all straight lines. Okay, okay, so when you had this logistic regression, or when we discussed about logistic regression, it was basically a line that separated the two classes. Okay, one is this class and this is another class. Okay, or you can say this is yes and this is no or whatever. Okay, so categorical variables was classified as positive or negative or whatever. Okay, so but then when it comes to, this was the case of logistic regression or regression. Logistic regression. Okay, so now when it comes to SVM, okay, when it comes to SVM, okay, so it is basically a plane which is also called a hyperplane. Okay, a plane or a hyperplane that separates the two classes. Okay, so this is what is SVM. This is the primary difference. Okay, so the thing that distinguishes or separates both your classes, it's basically a plane. Okay, so values can be on the plane. So you can have values here. Okay, these values can be here on the surface of the plane. Okay, but then not inside the plane. If it is inside, somewhere here inside, it will not be considered. Okay, so values can be here. Okay, so I mean these values, whatever is on the plane, we surface of the plane, we call it as support vectors. Support vectors. Out here, as far as my figure is concerned, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. Okay, 7 support vectors. I can say 7 points on the surface of the hyperplane. This is the hyperplane. Okay, hyperplane, which is considered. So 7 support vectors are there. Okay, so the goal of this SVM technique or SVM algorithm is to create a decision boundary. You can say the decision boundary is what is called the hyperplane. Okay, so that can segregate or separate, let's say, an n-dimensional space, okay, into classes. Okay, so that we can easily put the new data point in the correct category in the future. Okay, so in simple words, if I say, the objective of your support vector machine algorithm or support vector machine technique is to find a hyperplane in an n-dimensional space. So n-dimensional, n is actually the number of features. Okay, so that will distinctly classify the data points. Okay, so that is regarding the difference between your logistic regression and support vector machines. So support vector machine constructs a hyperplane in a multi-dimensional space to separate the different classes. Okay, so that's what I just showed you. Your logistic regression was separating with the help of a line, whereas here it is a plane, a hyperplane. Okay, so anything on the surface of the plane, hyperplane, is called a support vector. The ones inside the plane will not be considered. Okay, so you need to generate an optimal hyperplane in an iterative manner, which is used to minimize the error. Okay, so the core idea of SVM is to find a maximum marginal hyperplane that best divides the data set into classes. Okay, so for example, what do I take? Okay, let me go to the same. Okay, so I'm coming down. So like we have something. These are the data points, okay? Plus and the minus, okay? Okay, so for this actually, we cannot use the logistic regression. That is, I cannot draw a line to separate the plus and the minus, or I cannot use even an SVM to separate out the data. Okay, so this sort of data can be called as linearly inseparable data. Of course, in SVM, we have a technique called kernel technique. So those who have will be studying advanced machine learning will be learning about this kernel technique, which will help you to deal with this linearly inseparable data. Okay, so this is an example for a linearly inseparable data, which we cannot draw a linear line to separate this data. We cannot draw a logistic regression or an SVM to separate out this data. Okay, so when we say SVM, so there are two types. One is what is called your linear SVM, and the second one is what is called your non-linear support vector machine. Okay, so when we say linear support vector machine, okay, so it is basically being used for linearly separable data. Okay, so which means if a data set can be classified into two classes by using a single straight line, then such a data is termed as linearly separable data, and the classifier whatever you're using is called the linear SVM classifier. Whereas if it is a non-linear support vector machine, Okay, so that is actually being used for non-linearly separable data. Okay, so that means the data set cannot be classified by using a straight line. Okay, so that classifier is what is called a non-linear SVM classifier. So these are the, I think, oh, it was there in the PPT, fine. Right, okay, so okay, so when I showed here, so when I showed this hyperplane, this is what is called the margin M. Okay, margin M. Okay, so SVM will always select the plane. When you have multiple hyperplanes, it will select the plane with the maximum margin. Okay, so if you have another hyperplane, may not be for this data, if it is a smaller hyperplane, okay, and this is the M, and you can see here this is small when compared to this. Okay, so SVM will always select the plane with the maximum margin, and that will be used for classification. So this will be used for classification. Okay. Are people listening? Okay. Right. Okay. So you can see here, a hyperplane. This is a hyperplane, the one which is shown here in the blue color. This is the hyperplane separating two classes. We have a star class and we have a triangle class. Okay. So the star class is shown in red color, and the triangle class is shown in green color. Okay. So you can see one star is lying on the hyperplane, this particular star. It's lying on the hyperplane, and then two green triangles are also lying on the hyperplane. Okay, so they are actually the support vectors. You can see here, it's mentioned here, support vectors. Okay, so the ones which are lying on the hyperplane, surface of the hyperplane, then we call them as support vectors. Okay, so SVM will choose the extreme points or vectors that will help us in creating the hyperplane. Okay, so these, I mean, yeah, then definition is being mentioned here. The data points which are closest to the hyperplane, and these points will define the separating line better by calculating the margin. Okay, so these points are more relevant to the construction of the classifier. Okay, so I told you what is a support vector, what is a hyperplane, then what is a margin. You can see here, it's mentioned here what is margin. I showed in the Word document also what is a margin. Okay, the gap between the two lines on the closest class points is nothing but the margin. Okay, so this is another diagram. Oh. Okay, you can see here. So maximum margin. What is a margin? The positive hyperplane and the negative hyperplane, the support vectors, the one which are lying on the thing. This green and this blue are the support vectors. Okay, right. Okay, so yeah, inside the plane you cannot have any points. That's not good for classification. You have any point inside, so that will not be treated for classification. Okay, so now coming to how this SVM works. Okay, this is two examples of linearly separable and inseparable data which I have already mentioned. So now we'll straight away come to how SVM works. Okay, so you can see here when an equation is given here, M is equal to 2 by W. Okay, actually this needs to be optimized. Okay, so how the margin can be optimized? Margin is nothing but M. Okay, maximize the margin M. Okay, so that's basically the overall objective of your support vector machine. Okay, so okay, we'll just look into how to derive at this hyperplane maximization objective function. You can see here how to derive this. Okay, so okay, with respect to this figure. Okay, so I take one line. You can look at this figure. If I do a lot of marking, it will be confusing. So if I take one line as x1 and another line as x2, so you have this equation y equal to mx plus b. Okay, so it can be written as see, with respect to the weight, weight. So that is, it is mentioned as, see, W transpose, weight transpose x1 plus b equal to 1. That is, one side represent the positive samples. So that's why I'm putting it equal to 1. Okay, this one, it's equal positive samples. Okay, so the other side of the line, it's represented by this equation. Okay, that is weight transpose x2 plus b is equal to -1. Okay, the other side of the line. Okay, so now let me put this as equation number 1 and let me put this as equation number 2. Okay, so what I'll do 1 minus 2. Okay, so when I do 1 minus 2, what happens? B and B gets cancelled. It becomes weight transpose into x1 minus x2 is equal to 1 minus -1. 1 minus -1, how much it is? It becomes equal to 2. Okay, so I can, that's what, if I change the slope, if I change the weight vector, the slope will also change. Okay, so I mean, let me introduce the direction vector too. Okay, so dividing both the sides of this, dividing both the sides of this equation by the direction vector. So what I do is I put it as double lines. It shows the direction vector. Okay, so I divide both the sides with the direction vector. Okay, so what happens now? What is x1 minus x2? x1 minus x2 will be equal to m. Okay, so I'm replacing x1 minus x2 equal to m. The remaining gets cancelled. So I will get it as m equal to 2 divided by to the power t. Okay, so this is how this equation is being derived. Okay, so this m has to be maximized. Okay, so this m has to be maximized. Okay, that's what this is the hyperplane maximization objective function. Okay, right. So now oh, okay. So the linearly separable, non-linear and inseparable planes. The example is being given out here. Okay, so this was already discussed. Okay, so I mean, you can see one linearly inseparable and this is linearly separable ones. Okay, so this, I mean, I had already discussed the definition for it. So now coming to the concept of what is called here SVM kernels. Kernels. Okay, so I told about this linearly inseparable data. Okay, linearly inseparable data. So this is basically a trick, kernel trick, to separate out the linearly inseparable data into multiple functions. Okay, so this is a kernel trick, I mean, a technique which is being used to separate out the linearly inseparable data. Okay, so what basically you do is when you have such kind of data which cannot be separated linearly. Okay, so what you do is yeah, when the data set is inseparable in the current dimensions. For example, if it is in two-dimensional as x and y, what you basically do in kernel technique is you add another dimension. Okay, so maybe that way the data will become separable. Okay, so when you're saying add another dimension, okay, you cannot blindly add another dimension. You will have to transform the space, generate some level difference and all those things, and then only you can add another dimension in such a way that the data becomes separable. Okay, so that is what is kernel technique, and you have different types of kernels: linear kernel, polynomial kernel, linear kernel given by this equation, polynomial kernel given by this equation, and then you have what is called a radial basis function kernel, which is given by this equation. Okay, so among all the kernels, the most popular one available is the radial basis kernel. Okay, so this is the one which is being mostly popularly used for classification. Okay, so that's regarding kernels. Okay, so in detail, I mean, regarding the kernels, you don't have. We look into a linear example, SVM, a linear example. Okay, so you can see here, these points are given to us. You have the blue color points and the red color points. Okay, so blue color points and the red color points, you can see how many are there? 4 this is the hyperplane, the hyperplane which is being, this is a margin, hyperplane which is being given to us, and there are 3 points on the surface of the hyperplane. 2 blue and 1 red point is there on the hyperplane. Okay, those are the support vectors. Okay, so our objective is we need to classify these points. Okay, so we are interested only in the support vectors. What are the support vectors out here? The support vectors, what are the coordinates for the support vector? S1 is, you can see here, this one. That is 2, 1. 2, 1. And S2 is 2 minus 1. This is another one. 2 minus 1. And S3 is 4, 0. This one. Okay. Right. 25. Right. Okay, so what do I do to this? Okay, so these are the positively labeled points and the negatively labeled points given to us. Yeah, the support vectors are being mentioned here. S1 is 2, 1, the same thing what I mentioned. You can represent it this way. So S2 is 2 minus 1, S3 is 4, 0. Okay, so next what do you do is, okay, so next you need to create an augmented vector. Okay, so augmented vector, how you create an augmented vector is you add a bias value which has a value equal to 1 to this. Okay, and then you call it as tilde. Okay, so S1 becomes S1 tilde by adding a value 1, a bias. This is the bias added to it. Same way S2 becomes S2 tilde by adding a bias value, and S3 becomes S3 tilde by adding a bias value. Okay, so that's the next step. Okay, so we will use vector augmented with a 1 as the bias input, and for clarity we will differentiate these over a tilde value. That's what. To differentiate between S1 and the augmented one, we are using the tilde symbol. Okay, so now after this you have to form the equations. Okay, we have to form the equations. Okay, so basically we have 3 support vectors, 2 black color ones and 1 red color one. Okay, so you can either take these 2 points, that is this point and this point, the support vectors with the black color, and call them as negative points, this as negative point, and call this as a positive point. Okay, vice versa is also correct. The black ones you can treat it as positive, and the red ones you can treat it as negative. Accordingly, these equations will differ. That's all. Okay, so then after that you decide one way, and then you introduce some sort of tuning parameter. Okay, so here alpha is the tuning parameter. Tuning parameter. Okay, so you have alpha 1, alpha 2, and alpha 3. Okay, so 3 tuning parameters. Okay, so what you will do is, okay, you have this tuning parameters. Okay, so okay, so then you multiply. Okay, so I'll just show you. I think the equation is being given out on the slide. Okay, so you multiply your S1 and S2, S3 with the S1 tilde. That is, multiply this with all the 3, then S2 with all the 3, and S3 with all the 3. So accordingly, you will get this equations. Okay, that is alpha 1 into S1 into S1 tilde, alpha 2 into S2 into S2 tilde, alpha 3 into S3 into S1 tilde. So it is equal to minus because it is being treated as a negative class. Same way you form the other equations. Okay, so this is with respect to S2. This is with respect to S1. This is with respect to S2, and this is with respect to S3. Okay, so these are the 3 equations. Okay, so in the first expression itself, it's being given S1 and S2 are the negative and S3 is the positive. Okay, the same thing is what is being depicted here in this particular slide. So this is, yeah, negative S1 and S2. This is S1, S2, both are negative. That's why it is being shown as -1. S3 is positive. It's being shown as +1. Okay. So now what you do is you substitute the values. Okay. You have the values. You substitute. Okay. So substitute these values for the multiplication vectors. Okay. So then you get 3 simultaneous equations. Okay. You get 3 simultaneous equations, and then you solve those simultaneous equations. Then you will get the value for alpha 1, alpha 2, and alpha 3. Okay, so you have, I mean, you solve the simultaneous equations, and then you get you will end up with the value of alpha 1, alpha 2, and alpha 3. Okay, then after that, now you need to form the final vector. Okay, so final weight vector, you can see here, W is the sum of alpha and Si tilde. Okay, so that is alpha 1 into S1 dash, S1 tilde plus alpha 2 into S2 tilde plus alpha 3 into S3 tilde. Okay, so when you substitute the values, you will finally get the vector. You are substituting the values, you will finally get the vector as 1, you can see this, 1, 0, and -3. Okay, this is what you will finally get. Okay, so this -3 is actually the bias. Okay, so this can be ignored. Okay, this is actually the bias which can be ignored. Okay, so the value will be 1 and 0. I think it's shown in the next slide. Okay, yeah. So W is equal to 1, 0, and this is the offset bias is -3, which can be ignored. So this is how you are interpreting it. Okay, so you are basically separating the hyperplane equation, that is, yeah, y equal to wx plus b with w equal to 1, 0. So if you substitute w equal to 1, 0, so that is the equation for your hyperplane. Okay, so then I mean, right now you are having, you had w equal to 1, 0. So on the other hand, if it was 0, 1, then your hyperplane will be drawn horizontally. Since it is 1, 0, it is being drawn vertically. Okay, so that's another thing to be noted. Okay, so 0, 1 and 1, 0. Okay, so that is, yeah. So with this, you can stop. And this is how the hyperplane is being created. Okay, so I'll just summarize whatever we have done so far. Okay, so what you basically do is, you take the given vector in the sense your support vectors, that is the points on the hyperplanes. Okay, points on the hyperplanes. Then you add a bias to it. Where did we add the bias? Yeah, we added the bias here. Okay, then yeah, when you added the bias, you got this S1 tilde, S2 tilde, and S3 tilde. And after that, you calculate the parameters. You add the tuning parameters and you calculate the parameters alpha 1, alpha 2, and alpha 3. Then solve it as simultaneous equations to get the value of alpha 1, alpha 2, and alpha 3. Then after that, what you do is you use the equation. You use the weight equation, replace it with the values what you got, and solve it to get the final weight vector. Okay, so we got it as 103, wherein this value we ignore, assuming it as a bias. So since it is 1, 0, we have this vertical hyperplane. If it was 0, 1, we would have drawn the hyperplane in the horizontal manner. Okay, so please go through this explanation, whatever I've given in the video. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the next topic, nothing but reinforcement learning. Okay, so that was all about support vector machine, having a hyperplane to separate out the data and then maximizing the margin and selecting the hyperplane that optimizes or maximizes the margin. Okay, so next moving on to what is called reinforcement learning. So this is something which is being used in gaming, be it your car game, car racing game, or your what is other game, your not Firefly, what is it called, free fire game. Okay, so or even your Wumpus World, everywhere it is all about reinforcement learning. Okay, so the artificial intelligence, you get either rewarded or penalty for based on the action what you perform. Okay, so goal will be to maximize the total reward. Okay, so goal will be to maximize the total reward. So I mean, reinforcement learning is all about taking suitable action to maximize the reward in a particular situation. Okay, so I mean, your reinforcement learning is something little bit different from your supervised learning. Okay, so in supervised learning, the training data what you have, you can say it has got the answer key with it. So the model is trained with the correct answer itself. Whereas in the case of your reinforcement learning, there is no answer key. So the reinforcement agent decides what to do. Decides what to do to perform the given task. Okay, so there is no training data set. So it is like learning from experience. Okay, learning from experience. So reinforcement learning is a feedback based machine learning technique, okay, in which the agent learns to behave in an environment by performing the actions and seeing the results of the actions. Okay, so for each good action, the agent gets a positive feedback, and for each bad action, gets a negative feedback or a penalty. Okay, so in reinforcement learning, the agent automatically learns using the feedback without any labeled data. That's what I just mentioned, unlike supervised learning. Okay, so since there is no labeled data, so the agent is bound to learn by its experience. So learning by experience. Okay, so I think in 1 or 2 classes prior, I told about the analogy of a baby learning to walk. Okay, so yeah, you start initially don't know to walk, so you walk around, you hit somewhere, hit the wall. So that's actually the penalty. Okay, so reward is for not meeting with any accidents, and with the previous experience, you are learning how to walk. Okay, so now coming to the example of reinforcement learning, you can see here, catch the cheese game and the deep mind game. Okay, so catch the cheese game is all about you need to catch the cheese without getting eaten by the demon. Okay, if you are caught by the demon, the game ends. That's what the catch the cheese game is all about. Okay, then the deep mind game. Okay, if you hit the wall, that's it, game is over. You have the wall here. Okay, you hit something, you are, the wall is, the game is over. Okay, so now we'll look at a reinforcement learning algorithm. Okay, reinforcement learning algorithm with an example. Okay, so the base, it's written here Q learning. Okay, quality. Q stands for quality actually. Okay, so it's a basic learning algorithm implemented in small games. Implemented in small games is what is called the Q learning algorithm. You have this Q learning algorithm. Okay, so the Q I just mentioned, it's for quality. Okay, so quality in this case means how useful given action is in gaining some future rewards. Okay, so that's what. Okay, so in this algorithm, you need to bother about only this particular part. Okay, you can see here target. Target is equal to R. R stands for reward. S comma A comma S dash plus gamma. This is gamma. Then maximum of Q of S dash comma A dash. Okay, so you have a reward function. Okay, you have a reward function that is R of S comma A comma S dash, whatever is written here, I'm just writing it here. Okay, so you are in state S. Okay, as a result of some action A, this is the action A, you go to state S dash. Okay, this is what is reward. Okay, so that's the reward. Okay, so plus you have some gamma, gamma out here. Gamma is some learning value which has got a value between 0 and 1. Okay, so multiplied by the maximum, gamma, it's multiplied by the maximum of all possible actions of moving from S dash to A dash. Okay, so this is the only equation and the most important aspect as far as you need to remember as far as a Q learning algorithm is concerned. This is the basic algorithm. Okay, of course, you have some other learning algorithm, reinforcement learning algorithms like MARL, multi-agent reinforcement learning. But then as far as we are concerned, we are dealing only with the Q learning. Okay, so now, though I mentioned all these things, target is equal to this, the reward of going from state S with as a result of action A, getting S, B, reaching S dash, getting a reward R plus gamma and maximum of multiplied by the maximum of all possible actions of moving from S dash to A dash. Though I told all these things, things are very vague to you. So I'll explain with the help of an example. Okay, so reinforcement learning example. So let's take this. Okay, so you can see here the DeepMind game, whatever is being mentioned here, in a slightly different way, it is being modeled as a square here. Okay, so you can see it's being modeled as a square here. So you are in state S1. Okay, so the goal is to reach state S6. It's written in bracket G. This is the goal state. Okay, so when you reach your goal state, the reward that you get is 100 points. Are people listening? At least one yes.
Yes.
Okay. With a sad tone, people are telling yes. Okay, Santosh is also listening. Thank you, Santosh. Okay. So when you reach your goal state, you get 100 points. Okay. So let's assume there is a pit in S5. There is a pit here. Okay. So you will fall down. Okay. So from S5, since there is a pit, I cannot go to S6. This is blocked. Okay. I cannot go here. It's given with a white patch. Okay. So you will have to go to if you fall in the pit, you will have to go to either S4, then S1, S2, S3, and S6. That is one way. Or you can go up. The arrow is being showing up. From S5, I can go to S2, S2 to S3, and S3 to S6. Okay, so these are all the possible path if I fall in the pit, which is assumed to be there in S5. Okay, so but then you have this S1 to S2 to from S1 you can go to S2, from S2 you can go to S3, and from S3 you can go to S6. Okay, so that is actually the shortest path. Okay, so if you follow this, if there is no pit, you will reach the goal in the shortest time. Okay, so now we will see this particular game in two cases. Okay, so first case, what I'm going to illustrate, what is being shown in the PPT is from S1 to S2, S2 to S3, and S3 to S6. You need to calculate the total rewards. Okay, calculate total rewards. Okay, so the next case is, case 2 is, I go from S1 to S2, S2, I go to S5, I fall in the pit, then again I go up to S2, then to S3 and S6. So here also I need to calculate the reward. Okay, these are the two cases which I'm going to illustrate right now. Okay, fine. So now, let's take case 1. So case 1, before I start deriving, I'll just show you what the, here you can see that the reward for the direct travel, that is from S1 to S6. This is the direct travel, S1 to S2 to S3 to S6. Okay, so the reward for the direct travel is 25, 25 points. Okay, so this is my case 1. Okay, so my case 2, case 2 is S1 to S2, S2 to S5, S5 I fall in the pit, then again I go up, then from S2 I go to S3, and then finally to S6. So here the reward is 6.25. This is my second case, case 2. Okay, so the total reward here is very less compared to S1 to S6. Here it is 6.25, here it is 25. Okay, so only after you fall, you realize that you should not have taken this particular path. Okay, so the total reward points get reduced. Okay, this is actually a learning experience. Okay, so this is how you go about the problem. Okay, so now we will see how to solve this problem using the equation we saw in the algorithm. Okay, so I will solve this case, case number 1. Okay, and I will tell you how you get this reward point is 25. Okay, so again, as usual, like yesterday, how I gave for neural networks, I'll be asking you to solve this case 2. Okay, and then it is worked out in the slide, but then you should try to understand and then work it out on your own, and you see whether you're getting 6.25. Okay, right. So now let me work out case 1. So case 1 is a direct travel, S1 to S2, S2 to S3, S3 to S6. Okay, so now I come here. Okay, so let me start. The total reward point is 100. Okay, so I start with Q of S1 comma A12. What is A12? That is action. Action. action of moving from state 1 to 2. Action that is performed, that is A is actually, A stands for action. Okay, so that is moving from state S1 to S2. Okay, I'm moving from, what action is this? Move from state S1 to S2. So that is denoted as A12. Okay, so similarly, if I'm moving from 2 to 3, okay, if I'm moving from 2 to 3, okay, so then it will be denoted as A23. Okay, A23. If I'm moving from 3 to 2, it will be denoted as A32. Okay, or from 2 to 5, if I'm moving, it will be denoted as A25. From 5 to 2, if I'm going back, it will be denoted as A52. Okay, but then you will not have something called A56, because I cannot move from 5 to 6, because there is it's assumed that there is a pit here, so the way is blocked and you cannot go from 5 to 6. Okay, so I hope the notation is clear to you. When I say A12, it means the action that is move from state 1 to state 2. The action is moving from state 1 to state 2. Okay, so first of all, you will start with Q of S1 comma A12. Okay, so for performing this action, what is the reward? Okay, so you need to calculate the reward of performing this particular action. Okay, so you call that reward as R of S1 comma A12. Okay, so that means as a result of this action, now you are in state 2. Okay, now you are in state 2. That is A12 means moving from state 1 to state 2. Okay, so now you have to put one plus 0.5. What is this plus 0.5? Okay, it's actually the gamma, what is there in this equation. You can see here, there is a gamma here. Gamma, I said, it's a learning rate. Generally, for almost all the standard problems, you put the learning rate as 0.5. Okay, so now, I'll change the color of the pen. Wait. Hope people are listening and not sleeping. Okay, so now you are in state 2. Okay, so from state 2, where and all I can go? From state 2, I can go to state 3, from or I can go to state 5. See, one arrow is there. State 5 I can go, or I can go back to state 1. Okay, so that's what is being mentioned here. Okay, so when I am in state 2, I have already added a gamma value of 0.5. Okay, so I can either go from state 2 to state 1, or from state 2 to state 3, or from state 2 to state 5. Okay, so now you just look at the equation out here. That's what I've written here. Gamma of maximum of like A indicates A dash, S dash, sorry, A dash. You can see here A dash. It indicates where and all you can go from S dash. Okay, so the maximum among all these values has to be taken. That I'll explain in the subsequent part. Okay, so as of now, we just put it as maximum of all these things, where and all I can go from this particular state 2. Okay, so now I'm randomly choosing the action to go from state 5 to state 3. That is A23, and that is being marked in red color. You can take anything. As per my illustration, I'm randomly choosing the action as from state 2, I am moving to state 3, because as per my case, I am considering the case of going from S1 to S2 to S3 to S6, right? Okay, so that's being marked as red color. Okay, so now in my second step, so I have my second step out here. Okay, so again, I'm in A23. So from the second state, I have reached third state, and I've added a gamma value, maximum of from the third state, where and all can I go? Okay, from the third state, I can go to sixth state, that is what is A36. Okay, or from the third state, I can go back to second state, that is A32. Okay, so that's what is mentioned here. Okay, so now I'm in second state, action performed is A23, and now I need to compute the reward for it. Okay, so computing the reward A of S comma S2 comma A23. Okay, so after performing the action A23, I am in state 3. Okay, so where and all I can go from this state 3. Okay, I can go to either 6 or to 3-2. Okay, so out of these two states, I'm randomly picking S3 comma A36. Okay, so now I'm randomly picking this. my third equation. Okay, Q of S3 comma A36. Okay, so here I am not putting a 0.5 value. I am not adding a 0.5 value as gamma. Why? Because it is the goal state. Okay, A36 from 3 when I reach 6, it is the goal state. Okay, so that is action A36. When you perform, it is going to the goal state. So when you go to the goal state, you get a reward equal to 100 points out here. Okay, so I'm directly assigning the reward which is equal to 100 points. Okay, so that is why Q of S3 comma A36 is equal to R of S3 comma A36 is equal to 100. Okay, so that's what I have threaded through this path S1 comma S1 to S2, S2 to S3, S3 to S6. That's the three equations which have come up. Okay, so now one point, I'll take 5 more minutes. So please stay back, it's important. Okay, so initially all the state comma action, this is the state comma action, values are initialized to 0 except your goal state. Okay, except your goal state, all the values are initialized to 0. Okay, for the goal state, the value is equal to 100. Okay, so just look at this. You have here Q of S3 comma A36 is equal to R of S3 comma A36 is equal to 100. Okay, so that means S3 comma A36 is equal to 100. So I am going to substitute this in the equation above. Okay, so this value I'm going to substitute. This is my first equation. This is my second equation. The third equation, the value of the third, that is this value, I'm going to substitute it here. Okay, so when I'm substituting it here, what do I get? So yeah, I'm going to substitute in this particular equation. So when I'm substituting, you can see here, this is 100 and this is being put as 0. Why this is 0? Because I said all the states, state comma action values are initialized to 0 except your goal state. Okay, so this becomes 0. So it becomes 0 plus 0.5 into maximum of 100 comma 0. It becomes the value as 50. Okay, so now Q of S2 comma A3, yeah, this you're getting it as 50. So now take this value 50 and substitute it in the previous equation. Now I've got 50. So now this value 50, what I've got, I have to put it in this equation. Okay, so when I do that, the remaining things as per my assumption, initially state comma action values are all 0. So I substitute the value appropriately. Then I get the value as 25. Okay, so now you can stop. Okay, so this is what I have reached here. I have reached, my case 1 is being solved. Okay, I've reached 25. Okay, so what is the learning that you get? You're moving from S1 to S2, S2 to S3, S3 to S6. And you kept on substituting back till you reach the initial state. Okay, so while you're treading through the path, the total reward is being divided among all the players. Okay, so the value of 25 went to the first player. You can see here, this person, S1 comma A12, or this one, see, Q of S1 comma A12. So the total reward of 100 is getting divided among all the players who are involved in treading through this path from S1 to S2 to S3 to S6. Okay, so, and the value of 25 is going to the first player. So this is the learning what I got. Okay, so this is case 1. So now you have another case. I mentioned about another case. So this is the case where I travel from S1 to S2, S2 to S5. S5, I fall into a pit. I get up and go up to S2 again, S3 and S6. Okay, so this when I solve, I get the value as 6.25. So now you need to do this. Okay, so how it is being worked out is being given here, where you keep on, you start from here, you keep on substituting, and finally you land up with this 6.25. Okay, so that's what is actually the Q learning algorithm all about. So whatever I mentioned with the help of this example is being mentioned out here. Okay, so that's what is being mentioned out here. So that's regarding the reinforcement learning algorithm, wherein you have a positive reinforcement and a negative reinforcement or a penalty associated with it. Okay, the difference between reinforcement learning and supervised learning, already I told you in the beginning of the class. Okay, so yeah, something which is being used in robotics and other things, game playing robotics. I think this is already okay, done. Okay, so next
Excuse
class.
Me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, attendance.
Yes. Attendance. Hope at least more than half of the class has listened to it and understood what I have been telling regarding reinforcement learning. So please go through the video, work out the problem, and work out the case too, and put it in your GCR. Okay, next class I'll be starting with the adaptive learning. Okay, let me quickly take the attendance. Let me stop recording. Balaram, please share the recording. Registration number 148. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.